Good afternoon to each and every one of you all, and thank you all so much for coming out at such a short notice. My name is Louis Maxwell. I serve as chairman of the Macon County Commission, and I'm really honored that you all would accept our invitation to come out. Let me introduce those up here with me. To my right, I'm not going to give you details about it. I'm going to let legal counsel do the details. We have Brother Anthony Lee, Sister Jackie Carlisle, Sheriff Andre Brunson, Commissioner Huffman, Attorney Fred Gray Jr., and Attorney Fred Gray, Attorney Fred Gray, with us today. So we want to take, we're not going to be here all day, but we will try to answer any questions that you may have. So if it's lengthy, it's because of the question that you may have, okay? And you may not appreciate the answers you get and what have you, but we're gonna try our best not to keep you out here long. Today we wanted to take this opportunity to kind of give an update in terms of where we stand as it relates to the property better known as the Courthouse Square. Some people heard it as the City Square, some people say the Monument Square, whatever it is. There's property right behind me. But we want to try to give an update in terms of where the county commission is on that and where we are as relate to the ownership of that property. So I'm going to yield to our legal counsel to kind of brief, and I'm going to ask, I do have a copy of the complaint for everybody. Will y'all pass those out? Have a document I'll pass out to you for your information so you have a copy of the actual complaint, okay? So she's going to pass that out to you. And at this time, I'm going to ask if you would please, those if you can, please just honor this giant of a legal mind in United States of America, state of Alabama. And yes, right here in Macon County, Tuskegee, Alabama, the Honorable Fred D. Gray Sr. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes. Your Honor, you got it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the members of the commission, ladies and gentlemen. A few moments ago, before I left my office, I received an email that informed me that Harold Franklin, who was a client of mine that desegregated Auburn University in 1963, had just passed. So it is with a heavy heart that I stand to you at this time. But with permission of the chair, let us just have a moment of silence in memory of the work that Harold Franklin did in desegregating our sister institution next door. And I'm delighted that I was able to be the lawyer that he chose to do that. Thank you.
A moment of silence where Harold Franklin, former instructor at Tuskegee University, president of California.
Amen. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you. Members of the commission, I want to thank you for retaining our law firm to represent Macon County, not just in this matter, but in your legal matters. This is the second major case that we have been involved in for them that has resulted, the other one, in saving to this county millions of dollars. The lawsuit that we are here today about is the fact that Macon County Commission has retained our law firm as county attorneys to file a lawsuit so that the people of this county will be able to again own the property that it owned prior to 1947 when a deed was filed, and prior to 1906 when it was given away without any consideration. And we're talking about, as you know, the property right back here in the square. The style of the case, and I'm going to just kind of briefly run run through it. Is Macon County a political subdivision of the state of Alabama? Anthony T. Lee, Hal E. Bentley, and Jacqueline Carlisle are the plaintiffs. The county is the plaintiff because it was owned by the county when it was later conveyed to a private group to engage in private activities and deny all persons except the white race the privilege of enjoying those privileges. And that was conceived in 1906. The lawsuit is against the Tuskegee chapter of the United Daughters of the Confederacy, also known as the Tuskegee chapter number 419 of the United Daughters of the Confederacy. And that is an unincorporated association, and we have been trying since 2015 to find out who the members are, and we've only been able to find out one member, and that member doesn't live in Tuskegee but lives in Elba, Alabama. The second defendant is the Alabama Division of the United Daughters of the Confederacy, and that organization is a corporation, and there is some relationship, and it does not claim it owns it, but it claims that the Tuskegee chapter owns it, but it has some relationship and claims some interest in it, and so we added them. And then the third defendant in the case is the land itself, because we're saying the land belongs to the county, so anybody who claims any interest in it, we want it so that once and for all, the matter of title to the land will have been judicially determined. So you know who the parties are, and just so you'll know a little something about them. Anthony Lee, you may not know it, but he is the lead plaintiff. His father was the lead plaintiff in the school desegregation of Macon County in 1963. It was filed on his behalf and on behalf of other African Americans. And that case, when George Wallace sent the state troopers to stop it from being integrated, we amended the complaint and ended up desegregating all of the schools in Alabama under the control of the State Board of Education, which was not then under court order. And he, as a person and one of the beneficiaries in the reverted provision that's claimed in this deed to the daughters, that if it couldn't be used for the purpose for which it was given, then it would revert to the county. And so he is one of the persons who so claim. Mr. Hal E. Bentley, who is on the People's Funeral Home here, his father was a plaintiff in the landmark case of Gomillion versus Lightfoot, the gerrymandering case. So these are two second generations of persons who have expressed and have filed suits so that people can enjoy the benefits to which they are entitled to. Basically, it is a 3-count complaint in order to get the land back. One, I've told you, it's against the individuals to get any claim that they have out and into the county, where, as we understand the law, it has been and has never left, because the original conveyance was unlawful, and we allege it was unlawful because you can't take public property and give it away to a private group, and that private group then engage in activities that according to its terms, it must be for white people. The second count in the complaint, of course, is against the land itself. It's a technicality that we lawyers use. And then the third count in the complaint simply says that the county claims they own it. The Tuskegee chapter of the Daughters of the Confederacy claims they own it. The Alabama Department claims they own some interest in it. And the county claims it owns it. So we're asking the court, you have all these parties, decide who owns it. And that's it. And finally, and I think I will be through. And before I do that, let me just read to you the resolution that was adopted on at the July term in 1906, so you'll know where this whole thing started. This is what it says. This is a resolution that was adopted. And incidentally, there was one person who voted against it. And that's really interesting. But this is the order. Order adjudged and decreed by the Court of County Commissioners of Macon County, and that's what the governing body was called then, that all of the right, title, and interests that the county has in and to the lot in the town of Tuskegee, Alabama, on which the old courthouse now stands, be conveyed to the Tuskegee Chapter, UDC, for the purpose of converting the same into a park for white people and for the purpose of erecting a monument thereon to the memory of the Confederate soldiers of Macon County who were in the war between the states, and that the probate judge and county treasurer are authorized and instructed to execute a quitclaim deed conveying to said chapter of the UDC for said purpose, and no other. Should it cease to be used for said purpose, the claim that the county now has shall revert to said county. And that's what this lawsuit is all about.
We're going to take some questions. If you have any questions, Mr. Jr., we're going to let you lead us in the questions. Anything you want to ask, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Fred Gray Jr., along with Fred Gray and my brother Stanley. And our entire firm, we represent Macon County, Mr. Lee, Mr. Bentley, and Ms. Carlisle. Macon County is a political subdivision of the state of Alabama. And because it's a political subdivision of the state of Alabama, this case is filed in state court in Alabama. And that which Alabama can and can't do, it's the same thing for the county. You've heard Mr. Gray already state that a municipality or a county cannot give the public credit, our money, our property to any private individual and any private person. That's exactly what occurred initially. You heard the resolution when the county itself owned the property, and it still does. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act guaranteed to all persons the full and equal enjoyment of the goods, services, facilities, privileges, advantages, and accommodations of any place or any place of public accommodation, like this park back here, without discrimination on segregation on the ground of race, color, religion, or national origin. It's been a long struggle. The struggle now is going to be, it should not be a struggle now, because we have very enlightened and efficient and law-abiding judges in this circuit. So we depend on and rely on the courts and our judges here to decide this issue and to judicially declare. So nobody will misunderstand who owns this property, the Tuskegee City Square or the Courthouse Square, whichever name you know it by. We will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Mr. Gray has already given to you essentially what the case is all about. And so this case, though, is about the property and everything situated thereon. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Sir,
if you
what-
will identify yourself.
Leon Frazier, Channel 181. What's the general timetable on a lawsuit such as this, or can that be predicted?
The question was, what's the general timetable on a lawsuit like this, or can that be predicted? Let me say it cannot be predicted at this point. Part of the process is a notification in the Tuskegee News that must run for 4 successive weeks. Those 4 weeks will begin next week. While the lawsuit was filed on September the 1st, still that publication time has to go. And then the parties, that is the local chapter of the Daughters of the Confederacy, as well as the state institution or state chapter or state organization, has to also be served. We have filed, and the summons have gone out, but as of today, they have not been served just yet. So we can't put a timetable. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Jerome Jones, CBSA News in Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
And, this may be getting a little ahead of ourselves. I don't know if you could answer this, but if the litigation is successful in court, what are the initial discussions for what would happen to that Confederate statue that's on the property?
Jerome Jones, CBS 8. Question was, realizing that he may be getting a little ahead of himself, what will happen with the statute if the court, and I'm going to say when the court, decides in the county in the plaintiff's favor? And to that, I can't answer that question right now, but suffice it to say that the first step is to get the declaration of who owns, of that the county owns the property. If you own property, and I'm sure you do, everyone understands that your property is your decision. And that the same thing flows with respect to a county government.
And if I may add, Fred,
Yes.
that would be a decision that the county commission will have to make.
Right.
Because the case itself asks the court not only to decide on the land, but also for any permanent improvements that are situated therein. So if you look even in the summary and the conclusion, it plainly sets all that out.
They have a copy of it.
They do.
And
Yes.
they have a copy, you should have a copy of that.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Brady Talbert with WSFA.
Name again?
Brady Talbert.
Brady Talbot, WSFA.
Yes, sir. My question is, how long has this lawsuit been in the works?
This lawsuit has been in the works.
What's that?
How long has this lawsuit been in the works?
Oh, I would think this lawsuit potentially has been in the work at least from October of 2015. Because it is prior to that time, because the county commission, when a question arose, asked us to give an opinion. And we gave an opinion then, which is the same opinion we have given since then, that the county owned it. And as a matter of fact, the theory of this lawsuit is title really never left the county because they didn't have the authority under Alabama law, and we cite a citation in it. They didn't have the authority to convey it. You can't just give away county property. And to give it away for the purpose for which is set out in that resolution and set out in the deed that came to them.
Yes, sir.
Pat Wallace, Tuskegee Television.
Pat Wallace, Tuskegee Television. Go ahead, sir.
When this statue is disposed of, who is going to bear the cost? Is it going to be taxpayers, or is it going to be privately funded to remove it?
That goes so far beyond where we are right now. The question was, when this statute, or when this case is over, who's going to bear the cost of removing the statue? And will it be private funds or other funds? And the answer to that question is, we just have to first take this first step.
We were retained by the county commission.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Alton Mitchell, the Tuskegee News.
Alton Mitchell, Tuskegee News.
Since this process has been going on, has the daughters attempted to make any type of contact or negotiation with the county in any way?
All right, the question was, since this has been going on, has the daughters made any attempt to negotiate
Let me answer
this
that.
matter in any way? Fred Gray.
The county chair has been working on this matter since shortly after we gave an opinion, and first trying to identify and find out any person in Tuskegee who admits that she is a member of the Tuskegee chapter of the Daughters of the Confederacy. We have never been supplied with anyone, and we have been dealing with a lawyer who represents both of the two organizations that are named ever since June of 2020 in an effort to get the matter resolved, because there were only two parties involved, and that is originally the governing body and the daughters. And those two parties ought to have been able to get together like they got together to get it, at least their successors in office would, in order to resolve it.
Let me say this too, if I may. Is that we've had normal discussion with individuals with the Daughters of the Confederate. No daughter member who proclaimed to be a Tuskegee chapter member, except one person who identified themselves that lives in Andalusia, Elba, Alabama. So we have not been able, but our effort has been tried, as we were doing the research in terms of researching the minutes and the documents to see exactly what happened. At the same time, we were trying to reach out to members. We did have a conference call with a group of representatives of the Daughters of the Confederate. Again, they did not supply us with any names of any local chapter, because our position was that, according to the record, the property was conveyed to the Tuskegee chapter of the Daughters of Confederate, not the Daughters of the Confederate, which would be the state or the national. It was specifically said the Tuskegee chapter, and that's what our point to them. But we have not been able to identify anyone. If there are members, we have not been able to get in contact. And we've been talking about this since 2015. We've had a number of calls. We have exchanged a lot of letters back and forth with their legal counsel and talking to individuals. So that's where we are now.
Sir, before you leave, I noticed that one of those ladies showed up on the refurbishing of the statute a couple of weeks back. Did she establish some kind of a claim for having the right to do that?
Well, it's the same rights all along, because now, you know, in our discussion over the past couple of years in terms of someone calling us to ask permission to get someone to come down to clean the statue. Of course, I was suggesting to him, no, we don't think that's a good idea at this point. Because the first request we got was during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, and to have a group of them coming down during that time, we thought that would have been it may create a little tension. So we said, no, we recommend not. And of course, we thought that that's what it was. We said, let's resolve the issue of the ownership first. Once we resolve the ownership, then we can deal with that matter then. If it determined that you own it, then you clean it, we have to say so. We determine that we own it, which we think we do, then of course we will make that determination at the point. Now, make sure that when the county, not if, when the county is declared the legal owner of this property, we cannot give the statue away to anybody. If the daughters want it, they can buy it, according to Alabama law, because we don't want to do the same thing that happened back here, because you can't give away public property. It has to have, I believe, the market value of it in order to do that.
Yes, sir.
I think if he's referring to the lady who was here recently when they were cleaning the monument out here, or whatever they were doing, my recollection is she did not claim to be a a member of the
No.
Tuskegee chapter.
Oh, okay.
No,
And
no,
I
she
think
did not.
that was what your question was.
Yes, sir.
No, she did not claim to be
But
there.
I think her claim was to have been an interest in connection with the Alabama division
Of the daughters.
of the Confederacy, but not the Tuskegee chapter.
To be clear,
Thank you.
I asked her specifically, and I said, well, you from here? Are you local? She said, yes, I'm local. I said, where do you live? She said, Auburn. We all know Auburn is not Tuskegee. Auburn is in Lee County. And so that was the end of that conversation.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. If there are no other questions, we want to end simply by saying that this lawsuit seeks the following. Number one, that the title to the property, the permanent improvements thereon, and fixtures attached thereto be quieted in and vested in the plaintiff, Macon County, free and clear of any and all claims of the defendants. Number two, all the right, title, and interest of the defendants in the subject realty and permanent improvements located thereon be divested from them. 3 and 4 and 5 all go to the relief sought by the plaintiffs. And we say this, we ask this question. If you know of anybody who claims to be one of the members of the Tuskegee chapter, then ask them to present themselves before the public. We thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you all.
All right.